man, like my big one was I'm a piece of shit. That's a phrase and like energy that I was putting out there that was just like, that's not, what you say, and I think Sean said it on his episode, what you keep saying comes true. What you keep saying comes true.
Let me introduce you.
Sorry, man.
Let me introduce you.
I apologize. We just go so far back.
Just
it's so
jump
easy
on like,
to
yo,
just
who
start
this white
flowing.
man talking on the Legacy Lounge? Yo, dog. So what's up? What's good? Yo, welcome back to the Legacy Lounge. I'm laughing because we just did a half-hour episode. Before I even introduce my man. Yo, this is Mr. Lane, man. I know y'all know Mr. Lane. If y'all don't, y'all about to get to know Mr. Lane. Scotty Lane. What's up, sir?
I am so happy to be here. I can't thank you both enough for having me. Watched a lot of the episodes, and man, like, honored in many, many ways to be on the show. First off, all the guests that, like, the title of the show, Legacy Lounge, like, all these people were talking about really, really amazing things and pieces of advice. It's like a blueprint for life. Like, everybody is given something on this show that is just amazing. What people have left here, and again, like, the title of the show is so appropriate, and like how they're leaving their legacy right now, and it's amazing to be here in that regard. Something we keep, joking about. I'm humbled to be the first white male on the show. Like I said, when you asked me, I was blown back. Like I said, as a viewer of the show, like I said, I love it. I love what you guys are doing. And then when you asked me, I'm like, woo.
Yeah, I wish there was like streamers coming when you said like the first white male on the show, and like confetti would have
right.
Speed, make that happen, bro. Like little streamers or something. First, but no.
Like I said, I need a little sip of water after thinking about that. But like I said, I'm so humbled and appreciative of you guys. And I'm so glad you just called him Speed, because before I forget, when Gunner G, if y'all got to be doing this, like at the end of episodes, like what? Speed Productions, when you said, you guys were talking about how he drives, and you were like, how you drive? And he went, meow. He made this sound effect, because like when I put the show on, like there's times where I'll be watching, and there's other times where I'll be walking around with AirPods in. I was walking around with AirPods in, and when he said, meow, I mean, it stopped me in my tracks. Like, I looked back at my phone and I was cracking up. So, a tiny, tiny, tiny suggestion for you guys at the end of shows: take that little sound bite from Gunner G. This is Speed Productions. Meow.
You hear?
Because, like, we grew up, we're the jingle generation. If you catch a sound like that, and like I said, it caught me so fast when he said it. And again, the nickname Speed, that sound. And again, it made me snap my head really fast. I was like, "Oh, I gotta tell them about this."
Yeah, we gonna like this episode, but this is gonna be real good.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be good. But speaking to you being humble, actually, Speed and I talked, and it wasn't like, "Yo, we're gonna make the first white male on the show, Scotty Lane." It was like, "Yo, we really want to have Scotty Lane on." It just so happens that you were the first white male.
I happen to be white.
Yeah, you just happen to be white and a man. So yeah, I had nothing to do with that. That's your parents. The reason you're a white man. That has nothing to do with me.
They're one of my favorite comedic lines.
But in all honesty, we're big fans of yours. So is what you bring as far as your presence and everything, I'm truly honored, man. So
thank you guys so much.
We're looking forward to it.
Like I said, man, especially the last couple of years, I'm just really, really trying to just be my true self, and whatever that happens to be, it happens to be, and loving life. And that's funny. I say that. People like almost laugh, like I think I'm kidding. They'll be like, "How you doing, man?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm loving life," and I'm so serious, like I mean it. But like I think it's just like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." And every time I'm like, loving life, because like, man, like holy cow, like why not?
I like that answer.
Yeah,
especially if you're really loving life.
Yeah, like what the heck? Why not?
You're literally the voice of Steubenville, because. Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on you, other than, you being the first white male.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Legacy Lounge. We're here with CJ Mitchell and Scott Lane. It's great to be here. Good to be on.
The voice of Steubenville. Like, you got the Big Red games.
Man, bro.
Scotty, you got the Big Red games.
So, I mean, we grew up listening to Mr. Crugnelli. Like his voice, and whatever running back it was for you. For me, it was And again, everybody has his voice. For me, it was Vinny West with the carry. And actually, it was both. It was him and Carlton. But I remember being at Harding, and I got dropped off really early. My mom had to be at work. My dad was already at work. But my mom was the secretary at McKinley, so I got dropped off at Harding really early. And there was one other kid. It was actually Mike Gasser. We sat and talked every day. He got dropped off really early. I vividly remember us figuring out Mr. Crugnelli, like him saying, Vinny West with the carry, like, for 2 years, for 6th and 7th grade, we would be like, why are, Carlton West with the carry? Why does he say it twice? And then we finally figured out, like, one day, I don't know, it just hit one of us. I can't even take the credit. I have no idea if it was me or him, but it's 2 sentences. He's drawing your attention to Vinny West, period. Vinny West, period. West with the carry. It's 2 sentences, period. Vinny West with the carry. Like it, and it's just, oh my God. And that sound, like, whether and I mean, permanent memories as a kid, whether it was the Jovi Platt drop against the Central game, hearing that. I was sitting in the teacher student section. Again, my mom got tickets because she was a secretary at McKinley, so I was sitting in the teacher student section as a elementary school kid for that game. But again, hearing Mr. Crugnelli the whole time and appreciating the heck out of his voice. And then one time, the only time that I played Big Red football was my 9th grade year. The only fun Mr. Lane fact, the only year of Mr. Lane playing Big Red football, they had black helmets. That was the 100th year. I was on the field for the second to last Big Red Central game where Vinny West turned around and went like this, like taunting somebody on an 80-yard run. And that is when I knew if you were the star running back at Big Red, there was like slightly different treatment, because I remember seeing a buddy's brother getting blasted on live TV before by a coach. And then Vinny West turning around and getting a 15-yard taunting penalty. And the only thing that occurred was the one running backs coach, I cannot remember his name. I used to have it for years. Oh, he was older, bigger guy, glasses. But he went, "Oh, Vin, that ain't your style."
Oh, that was Kenny Gillison.
Yes, Coach Gill. That was it. That was the only thing. Yes. That was the only thing said to him.
Yes.
Now, granted, maybe something was said to him on Saturday. Perhaps. I don't know. I was only in 9th grade.
No, Vin was doing the DX celebration. Vin was doing that after touchdowns, and nobody said a word to him.
Said. That was a cool moment where I'm like, oh, like if you're rushing for 1,800. Which, hey, I mean, you're rushing for 1,800 and doing it looking like that. Like, I would probably treat him the same way. So just like, again, hearing him from as a player's perspective for one moment, and again, I didn't even step foot on the actual field of play. I was just on the sidelines the whole game. Then, and I'll never forget this was like a core memory of later childhood. I was grounded for the last one. I was grounded for the last Big Red Central game.
That was my senior year.
My sophomore year. I listened to that game. Oh, this is a wild story. My dad had a Mustang. He had Vanilla Ice's Mustang. He had the 5-liter cherry ragtop. It was sick.
Okay.
It was disgusting. But like we didn't have like a lot of stuff that like other people had, but we had like a sick car. But like I appreciated that as a kid. But like a lot of people like thought we had a whole bunch of money, but I would like look at their furniture and their other stuff and be like, nah, bro, we spent the money on the car. And it goes real fast, and I love it as a kid. But that was an interesting, like, other people's perspective, my own perspective, which is a cool thing to think about, which we'll definitely get into here in a bit. But that last Big Red game, I didn't have my license. I was too irresponsible to get that, which they were 1,000% correct to call me too irresponsible. Now, they really didn't necessarily show me how to be responsible in a way when I wasn't being. It was just strict punishments, like being grounded for the last Big Red Central game. But I probably wouldn't have listened anyway at the time. However, I took that Mustang down to Canadian on my own. Nobody was home. They were all at the game. Took the other car. I took the Mustang down to Canadian. The owner, who they just closed that down recently, they finally retired. For whatever reason, and I have no idea why, used to call me Adolf. I don't know why.
That's interesting.
Very. But, I was, he was a very Italian dude, and I definitely look German-Irish, so, like, pale white kid with, black hair. Who knows?
I don't, okay.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, every time I went in there for one, he'd always be like, "Oh, Adolf likes a fine cigar after a meal." So I went back and then listened to the very last Big Red Central game from my porch, only with Mr. Cugnelli's voice coming down Hollywood Boulevard, which is where I grew up, which was funny when you guys said Harvard. That's when I was like, I love Harvard. That's my block.
It was like, yeah.
You're like, no, wrong one. And how many streets? All the abundance of streets in Steubenville. We got to have two Harvards. Oh, but yeah, man, listening to him, like I said, just some absolutely, just like I said, core memories, and it was just the moment. And it's so then I start teaching at Big Red. Mr. Blackburn, Richie's dad, was getting old. Well, had gotten old when we were kids. He was very much ready to be. He was very much ready to be done announcing.
For sure.
Because, like I said, he was announcing baseball games at Vaquero when we were in high school. So he was ready to be done, and I thank him for this. Coach Hetherington is the one who was like, Scotty Lane, come announce baseball. And I was like, holy shit, like, absolutely, man. Like, oh, my God. And so that was my true start. Now, the very, very true start and person who gave me my announcing start at Big Red would be Coach Ike in high school. The very first thing, and I still have the shirt. It was called, of course, he called it this. It was called Smoke on the Water, like the Deep Purple song. Bam, 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 bam.
I know it now. When you hit the last bit out, yeah.
He called it Smoke on the Water. I thought it was so cool that it was a little kid's swim meet, and he called it Smoke on the Water. But that was the very first thing I ever announced, and it was at Big Red. Years and years later, Coach Hetherington asked me to announce baseball. I did that for a couple years. Then Lynn Meyer was the AD at the time, asked me to split basketball with Rick Andreessen, who was doing it at the time. He took over for Mr. Cugnelli when he was no longer going to be announcing football. So then he started doing basketball too. And then COVID hit. Mr. Andreessen didn't, I don't know what happened exactly. But I got called into the office. It was like the first or second day of school. And man, when Mr. Gorman calls you into his office as a teacher, it definitely feels exactly like it did when you were a kid. I'm like, why am I getting called to the office right now? This is about to be bad. I walk into the office. He's there with John Arlesic, the current athletic director. And they were like, how would you like to be announcing football on Friday nights and all, basically all the sports? And I like I said, I have a tough time. Like, when I get presents, I react terribly, even if I love them. I just, like, I don't know how to react. I'm awful.
I want to touch on that. I want to go back to that.
This was the one time in my life where I was actually like, I was so happy and grateful that they offered me that. I mean, I wasn't in tears, but I was just like, I was a little kid, man. It was nothing but joy. I was so excited. I don't think of it as a job at all. Like, when I get to go do that, like, I'm having so much fun. It gets me to the games. Like, I'm also inside when there's inclement weather at the games. Like, I'm nothing but gratitude to be the voice of Steubenville Big Red. It's a dream, man. Like I said, like, I mean, I used to turn down games at my house. If the Steelers got the bad announcers, we would turn that down and just announce it ourselves, and it was just a fun time.
I don't want to discount. To me, to everybody, it's a huge deal. But to what you're saying, so I live by Pico.
Yes.
Well, we've seen each other there. So
I also saw you got, ran up on the other day.
Oh,
too.
yeah. They blew down on me. Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, they were showing love too.
That was cool.
On Friday nights when I'm not at the game, I hear you.
Nice.
I hear you. It sounds just the same.
Man,
yeah.
I never even thought about it from that perspective. That's neat.
It's the same. You were on Hollywood.
Right.
I'm
the
right
voice
there,
is traveling down all the way through to through the hollow and onto.
I can literally go outside on the front porch and hear you play for play, man. So to me, that's a big deal. A huge honor, I'm sure, for you. And
it really is.
I mean, that's Friday Night Lights in Steubenville, man.
Like I said, I have an absolute blast, and it's fun. And I mean, like, especially basketball, man. Oh my Lord, and wrestling. Like the one, like football's great to do. Don't get me wrong, but I'm so like in the press box, and there's a lot going on in there. Basketball and wrestling are very like personal and intimate. Like I'm right there, and like I'll drive to the games and be like, we are not going to get emotionally invested tonight. You're gonna be cool. And like 30 seconds into one wrestling match, or one missed call, maybe not even a missed call, just like, you know, a heated like back and forth down the court, and I'm like, somebody guard this kid. Number 23 has to foul. trying to not be a fan and announce. That is by far the hardest part. And the second hardest part is, again, being a fan. Just I'll catch myself spectating. So if there's a football, if all of a sudden no announcing after a play mid third quarter, it's because I'm just watching and talking about like, did you see so and so's block right there? That was sick. Oh yeah, he pancaked him. It was incredible. Next thing you know, they're like up under center, and I haven't said a word. And I'm like, I guess we missed that one. We got to move on. And like Mr. Micker's my spotter. Bless his soul, man. Still doing it. Mr. Micker. He getting up there too a little
Mr.
bit.
Roger Micker,
yes, everybody loves Micker, man. Like, bro, you want to see some showing some love to an old teacher, bro? When people come up there and see Micker, man, like it's inspiring. It really is. He is very well liked, and rightfully so. I had him for just the tiniest amount of time at Harding, and he was a joy. But he's my spotter, and he'll be like trying to rein me in from being a spectator. He'll be like, 8 yards. It was 8 yards. It was 8 yards. It's 8 yards. Number 23, 8 yards, and I'm like, oh. We missed it, Mick. I appreciate you, though. Thanks. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's incredible, man. Like I said, it is one of the coolest bonuses of teaching in the school system I could possibly. Like you said, it's a dream. It's a dream. I grew up, and like again, the amount of voices that we grew up listening to, and there's so few left, like a Vern Lundquist, Brad Nessler, he's still doing it. You know, the Maddens, the Summeralls, something that lives in my household and life still to this day. If you say something very, very obvious, we'll be like, thanks, John. Like that Pat Summerall, what he used to say to him when there's a guy who could see better with his contacts in. Thanks, John. And then Keith Jackson, Brett Musburger, like all of those phenomenal voices. So I mean, like I paid attention to them guys, and like I said, it's a cool honor, cool bonus. Gets me to all the games, and it's neat. It's a blast.
I want to go back to something you said about you're terrible at getting gifts, terrible at receiving. I struggle with it big time. So every time it comes up, I like to talk about it.
I don't know what to do. I feel like I guess so. Now that I'm thinking about it right now, and as somebody who's really working on themselves in the last 2 years, I mentioned when we were talking before the show even started, I have a tough time with like self-talk as far as like not necessarily self-esteem. Like I have confidence, but also there's times where I think like, oh man, what a piece of shit you are. And like that just quick thought will like pop into my head to where like, I must, that thought has evolved into I must not be deserving of this. That's probably why, and this is just hitting me right now while I'm sitting here. That thought right there of I'm a piece of shit, which I don't think that thought, if that thought pops in anymore, we send it on its way. We notice that thought, send it on its way. That guarantee, that's where that evolved from, is like that, for me, I must not be deserving of this. And that's also the same thing. My birthday, I'm weirded out by it. Call Sheila, my mom. Call her. She went through it. 1984, October 14th, Libras. Trying to find the balance, baby. But call her. I did nothing. You know what I mean? Like, but that's not even true. Like, my buddy just said this to me the other day. Bro, you gotta look back over he was talking about the last couple of years. Think about the changes you've made. I think somebody mentioned this on here, trajectory. Think about the changes you made, the trajectory you were on to where you're now, like even like eating habits, exercise, mental health. Those 3 things, and we're talking drastic in both, but not like never overnight. Man, if I'm going to leave something here for this show, I have had 0 success trying to do a shit ton of changing all at once. Like stacking it on. I'm going to go to the gym and literally work out for an hour and a half with more weight than I ever used to the point where I can't even move for 3 days. You might go back 1 or 2 more times after that, but eventually you're going to be so hurt and like...
It don't sound like a good time.
You're not going back. The only way I was ever able to, like, again, look back on these changes and figure, oh my God, I actually made them, was we got to go slow. Slow. All the exercise, mental health, and eating, as far as and nutrients and supplements. Every single thing I did was like, oh, I found out this tiny little thing. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna add this to the list. We'll add this in, and like even something like the elliptical. I bought an elliptical for all of us. I don't know, 6 years ago. Starting to do that like 3 years ago. I'm like, well, what can I do first day? 8 minutes. Let's go 8 minutes, and then the next day we'll do 8 minutes and 10 seconds. And then the next day we'll do 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Like, I ain't gonna hate that. As a matter of fact, I know as I'm gonna be a little thirsty for more. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you kind of gotta, at least I've found, if you want to make some positive changes and change the trajectory, man, just take some really, really tiny, tiny steps. And like everybody says that, but like make the change to where you're not going to hate it, but it's still a positive one. You know what I'm saying? Like just get a little bit better today. And we mentioned this again when we were sitting here. You're either getting better or getting worse. You don't have to get all the way better tonight.
But you're getting better. There's no in between.
Get a tiny bit better today. A tiny bit more better today than you did yesterday. And then so that thought kind of got me down during this process. Oh man, like I took a break today. I didn't work out at all, or my mentals were way down. Start thinking about like, okay, but how much did I work out this week? How much did I work out in the last 3 weeks? How have my mentals been for the last week? How have they been for the last month? Oh, okay. Like again, we've been making these small changes. It's okay to have a day. Like, man, it's not going to determine this whole thing. And that's the other thing. I used to like get so like, oh, I blew it. We didn't work out for 3 days. It's over. Okay. Drop it back down. What were you on? 28 minutes now? Okay. Let's do 22. You know what I'm saying? Like, just find the small change. And again, just try to get a little bit better every day. That's really, like I said, if I'm going to leave a positive note before people possibly tune out, if you want to change your trajectory, and that's actually the word that changed it for me too, was like, the path wasn't doing it for me. What path are you on? What path are you on? Man, I've heard that too many times. You're going down the wrong path, Scotty. I hate the visualization of a path. But the trajectory, that scope, and then obviously it spreads out as it gets further. That's what a trajectory does. I blasted the mic there. Come on, communications major. We're going to have to turn that down in editing. A little plosion there. But that word, that trajectory, like really thinking about that of like, where am I going to be headed if I continue down this road? And the funny, I just remembered this. The funny moment for me of change was, so I was smoking cigs and just eating whatever I really felt like. And that was my life. You know what I mean? Smoking cigs, eating whatever I felt like. Anyway, I'm motor enough to where like I was what people would call skinny fat. And then I was manually cutting down a Christmas tree out at either Double H or whatever, one Christmas. And we're talking with a saw. And it was even the second or third time I had done it in so many years there was points where I had to like lay down on my back. And like I looked up at my kids and was like, first off, I will get this tree cut down. I'm never going to look at my kids and like not get this cut down right now. There's no way too much pride for that. And I literally said to myself, if I die cutting this down, then I will. And at one point when I was taking a rest, and this thing was thick too, I'm not going to lie. When I was taking a little rest, I was like, if I continue on this trajectory, I will die. Like doing something like this, like the Widowmaker cutting grass, the cutting down of the Christmas tree to where you're not exerting yourself, and then all of a sudden you are and you die like that.
Shoveling snow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, that just happened to somebody recently. I heard like a month or two ago, and I like, man, like I knew it was like I said, I'm literally staring up at the sky, cut this Christmas tree down. And again, had just looked at my kids, like, and they're all like, is Dad going to be able to cut this tree down? And it wasn't like necessarily like a strength thing. It was more conditioning, you know what I mean? Just being able to keep going and keep going and keep going. And again, smoking a pack of Parliaments a day, if not a little bit more than that. I'm like, I will die in the next couple of years. And I'm like, are we going to accept that? Like, are we going to accept dying cutting a Christmas tree down, or do you actually want to make some changes? And that's where I was like, okay, like what do we got to do? And first it was cigs. That was it. Stop smoking cigs. Did that. Then eventually it was like, okay, let's not get Naples every day, which I did. I mean, my lunch break was Naples every day. What was the specials? Like I'd call, they had me, hey Scott, you know what I mean? Like it was getting real bad. The relationship between me and all the Naples employees, and we made sure your ranch is in there. Like, you know, like it was, we were locked in. But then like stopping something like that, and then like tiny little bit exercise, and then like, okay, I have psoriasis, like this horrific, if you can see my phone, it's bad. Like this over here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Used to be all over my legs. That's not anymore. It's only on my hands and feet now. But I'm Kurt Schilling every day without the ESPN hype. Like I take my shoe off. We're bloodied. We're bloodied. So that's like tough to deal with. So I'm like, let's start taking supplements for this instead of the medication that was doing absolutely nothing. Let's, change our diet. Let's try gluten-free. Let's see what that does. Which, whoo, man, that realization, we don't got to have bread 3 times a day. And, like, that was a thing, like.
That goes hand in hand with the Naples, too.
Yeah, and think about, like, I'm having toast with breakfast, sandwich with lunch, bread with dinner. I'm wondering why I'm like, man, I'm so bloated. Like, at one point, again, a realization, I had made ground turkey for myself. Again, we're starting to eat cleaner. I was shoveling it onto just a piece of wheat bread, and like I looked at myself. I'm like, you really got to do this? Like you could probably just eat the meat here and be just as full, and not feel like shit afterwards. Cut out gluten. Amazing change. Like again, like it's been what a journey.
How much better you feel,
dude?
Mentally too, not just physically.
You don't know how many people I hear, and I probably was the same way, who walk around, man, I feel terrible, like constantly saying like, I feel bad, like this hurts, that hurts, this hurts. And don't get me wrong, like I still have ailments. We all still, there's a difference, but like I feel. Bro, like I feel like I'm in better. I'm 40 years old. I'm in best shape of my life, and again, mentally, physically, both hand in hand, working together, with the realization that like I'm not even my body. I'm not even my mind. I'm just my soul. Like so, I mean, like we're really working on the other two, and then that helps the last one.
Right.
Like it's. Like I said, the realizations in the last couple of years, man, it's been vital for my life, my family's life, like being around me. And again, the dad that my children now get compared to what they were getting. And again, the trajectory there, just like you think about like if I'm not reading this book and finding this out and doing this stuff and like improving on a regular basis, this is who they would have had. It saddens me to even think about, like, because a lot of people say like there's all kinds of different, all those possibilities exist out there in some other universe. It saddens me to think about that one. You know what I mean? Like that even I helped create that possibility and universe, I guess. And then the other thing I'm going to say before I forget, energies are real. And it goes off of what Sean was saying, and we mentioned this a minute ago. What you put out there, and I mean this so much, it will come true. It is the craziest. People I work with are actually starting to believe me, and I'm going to put you onto this story too. So, like, as far as, like, luck is concerned, all right? So, like, even let's say something silly like a drawing at work. Bro, energies are real. If you say to yourself, I've never won, I'm never going to win this, I promise you your ticket is never going to get pulled. And I mean never, ever. But if you say, like, oh, I'm kind of lucky, like, every now and then, like, I feel like, every now and then, that's what's going to happen. This is, like, slightly sick, and, like, I've even said, like, we'll talk about, I'll finish the thought before, I'm, like, slightly rambling now, because this blows my mind and freaks me out. I have one, well, first off, this all started with calling out the winner of the Gene Day drawing. So we have staff meeting once a month for the last, like, 5 years. And again, this is before I even had the thought of energies are real. For the last 5 years. And I usually sit with Haney and Lombardo. Coach Haney, Coach Jeff Lombardo at the table that we're at. It was in the old room. Now we're in a different room. There's 60 teachers on this list of possible winners. So 1 in 60 shot. And I wouldn't do it every meeting. Okay. But every now and then I'd catch like a vibe, an energy. And I'd be like, oh my God, CJ's going to, like, quietly at the table, I'd be like, CJ's going to win the Gene Day drawing today. It's like $25. They'd be like, what? I'm like, I don't know. I caught a feeling. I was doing that correctly on like a 5 out of 6 clip. Now, again, I wasn't doing it every staff meeting, but like when I felt an energy, felt a vibe, I would be like, hey, I think it's MJ Burkett today. He's going to win today. It's Katrina Morrow. She's going to win. Miss Morrow is the Gene Day winner. And Lombardo and Haney, and again, this is over the course of 5 years. The first time they were like, oh, that's crazy. After like the 4th, 7th time of me doing this, they're like, what are you doing? What's going on? And I would be like, I think it's actually me today. Gene Day drawing winner, Mr. Lane, congratulations. So now we have a 50-50, last year and this year. It is every 2 weeks. I play every 2 weeks. It's $5. You win 100. I'm not exaggerating in just 2 school years. And again, you're talking about God only knows the odds. Lots of teachers are playing. Lots of people in the office are playing. It raises money for
buying multiple tickets.
Yeah, it raises money for something like for the school. So it's really cool. It's a really fun thing. I'm not exaggerating. I won like 8 or 9 times. It's sick to the point where some people won't play if they know I'm playing. To the point where I missed a 50-50 day and more people played than ever had. And here's one. This is what caps off all of it. And like, again, so Mrs. Bell, she's an assistant principal. She's the one that comes in. I'll literally tell her, like, as she's handing me the ticket or as she's walking out, I'll be like, it's me today. And like, even my classes, I'll be like, it's me today. I'm going to win. I can feel it. It's me. They'll send the message and be like, here's the numbers. I pull it out. I'm like, it's me. Now I feel bad. I don't even want it to be me. Like, I'm like, oh my God. The kids are like, what? I'm like, I think it's going to be me. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm going to win the 50-50. They're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I've won too many times. Like, I don't want to, I feel horrible. And sure enough, they'll send the message. I'm like, it's me. This very last week, I'm not in my room. I have duty in the Commons. We're testing. There's a 2-hour delay schedule, all this different Todd Filtz and Lombardo in my room up all the way up on the top floor. Mrs. Bell actually sends me a message like, hey, where are you? I was just in your room. You weren't there. I want to make sure you get your 50-50 tickets. I play every week. She comes down, sells me my tickets. I'm like, I don't know the vibes today. She was like, well, that's funny. She goes, Todd Filtz just bought tickets and he never plays. And his exact words were, I'm in Scott Lane's room. I better play. And I laughed so hard. Like, that's a funny. I'm like, I honestly hope he wins now. Like, I really do. Like, that's so funny. Whole day goes by. We don't get the message. In the group, we have like a group message like Coach Ike, Biasi, Lombardo, Bowers, Abram. They're like, hey, has anyone announced have they said the winner yet? I'm like, I sent back in a message. I'm like, they haven't yet. It's pretty late. But let's get real. We all know it's going to be, and I put ... and I'm sure they were assuming I was going to say myself.
It's about Todd.
I put, it's going to be Todd Filtz. 20 minutes later, the numbers come out. Your winner, Todd Filtz. Energies are so real, man. Like, it is, and like witnessing it. And what I say now, and what I meant was going to dovetail off of earlier, is like, this can't be what this is necessarily for. Like, I feel so, again, like I gotta be using this for something else. You know what I mean? Like, universe, the gratitude that I have for whatever you're giving me, this, again, knowing, feeling of energies, I love it. Should I be doing more with it? Because I feel like you've given me this really cool thing and I'm using it for a parlor trick right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be more than just impressing people at my table in the staff meeting, like picking out like, hey, CJ's going to be the winner. It's CJ Mitchell. Hi, look, I did it again. Like, there's got to be more to it than just me doing that. And I don't know what it is yet, but energies are really real. If you put out there, and maybe this is it right here. Maybe like somebody has been saying to themselves what I used to say, like, you're a piece of shit. Man, if you say that, that energy is real. Like, you're going to treat yourself and eventually the people you love and eventually people you don't even know like that. Like, you're a piece of shit. Like, and instead, like, we got to love ourselves. And that's something I didn't ever really, nobody ever told me that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the energies. It's China, I tell you, is something me and her talk about all the time. All the time, you know, is speaking things into existence. And, you know, if you say you can or it ain't going to happen, then that's what's going to happen. It's crazy because me and Speed talk. And so we've been doing this almost a year to the day. I think,
oh, really?
Yes. I think a year, the beginning of this week was the first time we shot our first episode.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy. But everything we've said over the last 12 months, literally everything we said has happened. Everything, we go back and we be like, man, you remember we said everything has been spoken to existence. And it's energy, though.
Yes.
It's
and again,
energy.
it's like, it's wild to see. It's wild to see. And again, something simple as a drawing. There was that bash, you know, the Sportsman's Bash that Big Red had. I was literally saying that, and I emceed that. I was saying it in the microphone. I was like, if you want to win, just know energies are real. I'm trying to, like, pass this off as much as I can. It was every 15 minutes there was a winner. I was, like, taking short little breaks and would go sit at a table and talk to people. Guess who was winning the next announcement?
The people you talk to.
I swear to God. Like, it was getting... And again, I'm like noticing, like, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to make sure I keep spread the love and keep going around. Sure enough, somebody from that table. I only talked to one person this time. They won. Like, dude, it was. And again, like, I wish, like, it sounds like I'm making this shit up, but like, why the fuck would I? You know what I mean? Like, I have a life. You know what I mean? I'm blown away by it. Like, it's like I said, I'm like an observer of it. It's not even me. I'm not even fucking doing anything. I'm just an observer.
Come over and sit right here. And,
let's hop on DraftKings.
Yeah, whatever we got to do. Whatever we got to do to make it happen.
Man, speaking of DraftKings, two little tidbits about that. A, how pervasive. And it's so fun. But, like, think about, like, obviously, from our perspective, trying to gamble as a kid, you had to go to a place, you had to call somebody, like, it was a whole craziness. And then as adults, like even like the cell phone, we didn't have it. Then as adults, we grew up alongside of it. Same thing with gambling here. We didn't have it. Then again, weird ways of doing it. Then it was available for everybody, but we're grown up. Think about a kid who like gambling on a phone is just their entire life, and how like so many like it is. There's gonna be tremendous, because here's the thing, obviously it's extremely addicting. Like, and again, we're talking science of the brain. This is shit that we should all know, that when you hit and or lose a bet, there's a part of your brain that literally, like the streamers, when the white guy's on the show, streamers, when you hit a bet and lose a bet, there's different streamers going off in your brain, and like you need to be aware of that. And like a 14-year-old, bro, you could be so heavily addicted before you even know like what even addiction is.
It's scary.
At the same time, you can have a blast doing it, and it's cool to know somebody like full time who he's in the 0.02% of people that play daily fantasy who are on the positive end. It's remarkable to see.
When you had to go across the bridge when it wasn't legal in Ohio.
The bridge-to-bridge betting loop is what we used to call it.
Yeah, over Burger
I would try and
King.
get my bets in from one bridge, because Market Street Bridge was still open. So I tried to get my bets in from Veterans to Market, or opposite from Market. It was actually probably from Market, because I'm coming from PH. From Market, soon as I crossed over and it said I was in West Virginia, see if I could get all my bets in before I hit Veterans. And if not, I then had to, then I had to swindle into Weirton and pull off at the
Burger King.
At the Burger King, where all the other bettors sat.
So if you went over to the Burger King, Saturday, Sunday, between 11:30 and 12:45, you would see about 15
cars,
and they lined up, and they talking.
Yes, it was just like being at the spot bar back in the day.
But full time would be over there.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Full time, that's my guy.
Yes,
man.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Vast amounts of knowledge.
Yes.
I mean, you want to talk about grinding, and like, but he like, it's a fun. He's getting joy out of it. You know what I mean? Like, he's got the notebook. You know what I mean? He's listening to podcasts. He's on Twitter. He's on this. He's got 3 TVs. Now, what's interesting, him and his wife just had a baby. So awesome. He's already like, I'm behind now. I'm behind. I'm like, I bet you are. I bet you are. And he's talking about other people are starting to use AI. I'm like, well, now, yeah, you gotta evolve too. And again, like, we talked about that even before the show was running. Times are going to change. Like, times are absolutely going to change. Are you going to evolve too as a human being?
I like to put things in perspective. And I think I put something like this no, matter of fact, I know I did on Facebook last year. Like, if you would have told me in 2024 that weed and gambling is legal in the state of Ohio, I mean, like, you know, it's like people laugh at it, but I was being serious. Like, coming from where we come from, weed and gambling is legal.
I mean, people were still getting ran up on at a federal level for both a year before it happened.
For both. That's crazy you even say that.
At a federal level.
Federal level for weed and gambling.
Correct. Here in town. And now both are just, again, like,
it's
so prevalent, so pervasive. I don't necessarily think marijuana is as pervasive as gambling is, as far as like the advertising and whatnot, but it's what a dichotomy, like what a difference of just a few years. And again, like now, like again, people are just going to know a world with both of those completely 100% legal.
Just normal and legal.
Yeah, which again, not necessarily... Nothing's cut and dry. It's not a whole positive. It's not a whole negative. It's
the change of the times.
It's a bunch of both.
Yeah, that's what you could attribute it to. There's positives. Do I love being able to bet from my phone in the second quarter or the third quarter, in the first quarter, whenever I want to bet? Yes. Is it a terrible idea? It's awful.
Yes.
It's awful. It is, and I knew it was.
Right.
When the ball dropped, I said, "Oh, this is bad," and I woke up and put a bet in, like. And here we are.
Those companies, in soon time, if they haven't been already, will be sued for, like, again, like aggressive advertising of like, here, do this for free. It's literally like, you're talking like old school drug dealer moves.
No, it's the same. It's
here,
giving out
try this.
It's giving a wake up. It's a sample.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
you get $100 of free betting, and then again, you hit. God forbid you hit a 5-teamer with $100 free bet. Like you're in for life.
Scotty, I feel bad for people because I gamble. I've been doing this literally my whole life. I know, like you said, full time is .0002. You don't win.
Right.
If you say you win, you're lying most of the time.
Correct.
I hate to see these people hit on their free bet.
Oh,
because I know where they're going.
Yep.
They're chasing that high.
Right.
You'll never get that high back. You'll never feel that high again.
The wins, and that's why I literally like. I'm to the point where I don't gamble anymore. I found out, like you just said, I was no longer enjoying the wins. I was stressing so much, and we're talking about $11, $22. I was stressing about $11 and $22, and then when I hit, I'd be like, all right. Like,
what's next?
That's no joy.
You're not even stressing over the money. You're stressing over the addiction, chasing that high. In that ticket. Like, it ain't about the 11 or the 22, because who gives a fuck about 11 or 22?
I don't.
It's the feeling of beating them.
Ask my wife if I care about 11 or $22. For me to ever bring up money, like she'll be like, I'm the spender, she's the saver. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit what it costs as long as we have it. Whatever. I went with the line from the movie Blow way too hard. Again, a young person taking something. His dad says to him, money isn't real, George. It doesn't matter. It just seems like it does. Whew. I still run with that. Like, I can drop all the money I have and be like, all right. My wife spends like, if there's a choice between $10 and $15 and I spend $15, there is a 20-minute conversation as to why that occurred. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, like, why I can't live like that. I gotta not give a shit. Like I said, it's not real. It don't matter. It just seems like it does.
Yeah, your wife don't want
But
to do that.
like I said, I found like I was stressing and getting upset over losses of $11 and $22. But when I would hit them, I'd be like, okay, like that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, huh? And then, like I said, like we're watching college football, which is my favorite thing, and I'm not even enjoying any of the games. You know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, we're done here. Like I'm out.
Yeah, it's tough, man, and how easy they made it, and like you said, the aggressive way of promoting and getting non-gamblers and turning them into gamblers, and the way it's not being talked about is crazy. Because those bonuses ain't for us.
No,
we're there anyways.
Like Full-Time said,
it ain't for us.
He's up. I mean, like he don't mind me talking about this, and again, this is insane to say. In daily fantasy, he's up probably $80,000 over the course of like the last like 3.5, 4 years. He's like, "Where's my $150 bonus? I'm on here fucking grinding every day. I ain't getting no damn $200 bonus." He's like, "I signed Brittany up just to be like to feel better. Like I'm leaving here with something." That's my favorite Denzel line right now. Have you seen that video? I'm from round away. I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving here with something. Like I fucking love that line. That is just that's a great line. Like that mentality of like, for sure. Like I've been through it. I'm leaving here with something. He signed his wife up just to get that bonus, and I love it. And then cashed out and then put it on his side.
But no, he's right. It ain't for him.
No,
it
it's
ain't for
not.
us. It's to get people.
It's for that 14-year-old whose parent is trying to do the right thing and has him with a debit card, and now, okay, well, I got my own debit card. I can put it in here, and now, it's free.
Bruh, it's crack in the 80s.
Yep. Oh, 100%. And that is actually
is.
The betting. I forget what is it? Synapse, or I'm horrible when we get to like down to like real specifics of shit like that. Whatever's firing when something, some joy or even when you're screaming, like the cortisol, like whatever's hitting at that part of your brain, that's the same one of cocaine. Gambling and cocaine are the exact exact. It's not like they're similar. It is the exact same part of the brain that is getting triggered when you hit a bet and snort a line of cocaine. I was like, oh.
I didn't even know that. It's the first time I've ever heard
That's
that.
some valuable fucking knowledge to know. Like, if you like betting, don't ever fucking do cocaine, which you should never do cocaine anyway. But if you like, are like, I like that betting feeling, dear God, kid, don't ever try fucking cocaine, because you want to talk about addiction. My heart and soul goes out to the people in that world. Like, the people that, like, this will probably dovetail in another conversation, like, that have never, ever, ever been affected by that. The way that they look at that without perspective is so, so saddening. When people are like, oh, man, free Narcan, just let them die. You would never, ever, ever in a million years say that if it was somebody that you even remotely knew and cared about. Like, never. But, like, the things that we, like, the lack of perspective that we have from a distance, and I really think that's what this huge negative it is the lack of perspective we have from a distance when we could have all the perspective in the world and yet choose not to get it. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Like, dude, please look into, like, go talk to an addict. They go to sleep every single night talking about, this is it. This is the last night. I'm done with this. Tomorrow, we're good. You know, and then they make it a day or 3, and again, the worst flu you've ever had times 10. Haven't slept in 3 days, but have responsibilities to take. Well, and that's when they fall off. And again, like, zero compassion for other human beings is something I can't get with anymore, man. Like, that's the other thing that I have found most recently is compassion, dude. Like, every single human being is going through something. We all experience trauma. Because, and this is a great line too, man, our parents loved us, but there was certainly times where they didn't understand how to show it. Our parents absolutely loved you, but there were also times where they didn't understand or didn't know how to show it the proper way, okay? So then we're all fucking dealing with that. Every single one of us, in some way, shape, or form, is dealing with that. And again, we talked about it a moment ago. The ego don't ever want you to feel that. The ego don't ever want you to feel that. And that's something you gotta feel to heal. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta let yourself feel those old feelings and lean in and heal from them. Otherwise, again, like we just said, that ego's gonna take over and really just ruin you. Tell you things that are
compassion for people. And you mentioned, like, you know, the Narcan, let them die, man. And I think the word, I don't want to mispronounce, but desensitized to death. Like, it's just so common now for all ages, but
desensitization. And again,
did I use that right?
Oh, perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
This is exactly what did it. Scrolling. Think about if you would have told the American public in 2003, you literally told the American public with somebody that had, somebody credible comes before the United States government in 2003 with, again, credible, with evidence, with, you can hear the truthfulness behind them, and tells the American public that there is aliens in the ocean. Again, a person with credibility is saying this. You tell the American public that in 2003, I don't know what occurs, but I know it's way more than what occurred in 2024 when that happened. People were just like, including my classes, every single one of them, and they were like, oh.
Cool.
All right. I'm like, I've never felt like more of a Twilight Zone episode in my life, and every single Twilight Zone is the same, where one person is led to feel crazy and everyone else thinks it's all normal. All the nurses and doctors are saying how hideous this person is, and they need surgery and blah, 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 and they look completely normal, and everybody else looks like pigs. You know what I mean? Like, that's the Twilight Zone. I'm like, man, this is fucking crazy. This really credible dude and these other two credible dudes are all saying there's aliens in the ocean, like Independence Day, like, you know, like Alien, fucking all these alien movies where people were like extremely hyped. And I mean, bro, you could have an alien conversation with somebody prior to 2003 for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, you think there's aliens? Like, dude, Area 51, like who knows? Like it was even in Independence Day with Will Smith. And I mean, again, you could talk with people for an hour about it. And in 2024, people just went, oh, okay, there's aliens.
Scrolling.
Desensitization. And the worst of it is, again, I feel like it's our parents' generation more than anyone. And kids. I don't know, I feel like us in the middle, 30 to like 50-ish, just before that, like 30 to like 48-ish, are like watching this like, what's happening right now? Like, again, like it's like a Twilight Zone for a lot of us. Like, when you're scrolling like that, the amount that you're becoming desensitized to, that's why I couldn't work in news. That was my first, went to school. I wanted to be a teacher my whole life. Took broadcast journalism, ironically. Class I just started teaching again this year. And history, but started teaching broadcast journalism again this year. It's really fun. Had broadcast senior year at Big Red. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all went there. Like, broadcast journalism as a Big Red was a big deal. Like,
I had Mr. Lucier.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Listen, I was on there every day with my one friend Brad Dagenkolb, and I mean, like, it got me to be like, this is what I'm doing with my life.
It's crazy. It's full circle for me because I love that. That's what I went to school for, and now I'm back doing this.
I heard you say on an episode that you wanted to be Stuart Scott.
Yes.
That is hilarious. When you said that, I wanted to be Scott Van Pelt.
I could see Scott Van Pelt in you.
And he gave me hope. This is how representation matters, man, like across the board. He gave me hope because he was bald.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
he was going to say that.
He was bald. And like, again, like, representation matters. Stuart Scott is on ESPN. He's black. Like, that shit matters. And like, again, there's a large portion of the white community who does not understand it because they've been so fucking represented for so long. Get angry at BET. Bro, all the other channels are all white people all the fucking time. What do you mean you're angry at BET because it's a channel for black people? Like, what? Show me the black people on the other channel. Oh, there's one amongst the 75 white people. All right, you got it. There's one. You're right. Okay, great. Like, again, it's just like a lack of perspective.
Well, you're doing my job for me because there was a couple things I wanted to touch on that we had to touch on. One is I've seen you speak on white privilege. And I love the way you speak on it. One thing about Mr. Lane, Scotty Lane, but one thing about Mr. Lane, clapbacks is on point. They factual. He's the clapback king on Facebook. Legacy Lounge crowned the clapback king on Facebook is Mr. Lane and Scotty Lane.
I'm not going to lie. When Cornell said, I haven't seen this much cooking since my grandma cooked Thanksgiving for 3 families, I was like, wow, I don't really take compliments too well, but that was
yeah, but we're going to work on that together, Scotty, on taking the compliments. But no,
appreciate it.
The way you represent yourself, and you're real good with words, and it's, you don't speak off of emotion. When most of the time the people responding to you are speaking off of emotion, and the way you handle it is brilliant.
That's something I only recently learned too. And like, again, like, a lot of these people think like I've been this way my whole life. The reason I'm speaking about white privilege is because I was that kid, man. I was that kid. I thought, and I'm not even fucking around here, I thought, I used to say the sentence in like 7th, 8th, 9th grade, everybody has an equal opportunity in life because of public schools. Because I thought that every single kid had a cupboard at their house like mine that had like every fucking snack you could imagine. And their parents like mom like clean the fucking house top to bottom. That was my mom's way of showing love, by the way, was to clean the house to a point of spotlessness and then yell at you when you didn't keep it that way. But that was her way of showing love, was keeping a really tidy house. My dad's way of showing love was to have literally, bro, like our downstairs it was not normal. It was a cereal aisle, a chip aisle, a cookie aisle, like we're talking 3 deep of each kind, like, and my parents were only buying shit if they had a coupon or it was on sale too. So like it wasn't like they were just, trust me, like I said, we talked earlier, we had a nice car, but like we didn't have a like lavish furniture, you know what I mean? So I thought every single kid for a large portion of my life had a cupboard like I did, had all, had Tide detergent, had running water, had like never ever, I mean, through high school even, did the thought of like, that that isn't, you were extremely blessed to have all that shit, and it's great, and that's really fucking cool, and it's awesome. But also there's people that didn't have that. And that realization alone is like, oh, wait a minute. There might be an equal opportunity, but we ain't all starting the fucking race at the same... Like, if we're going around this track here, holy shit, man, I started like 7 laps ahead of this kid. And that kid didn't even have like a say in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the way until they became an adult. So I'm 7 laps ahead of this kid. They got no say in the matter until they're an adult. And then when they become an adult, because of the 7 laps that they are behind, bro, let's turn it into a ladder now. And again, I like visuals a lot. My 7 laps puts me fucking way up on the fucking ladder. And them being 7 laps behind is way down on the fucking ladder. And climbing that from being down there, the rungs are further apart. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever they're called. I guarantee I just used the wrong word. Whatever the part that you put your feet on a ladder, they're way fucking further apart the further down you are. And like, again, that's a perspective that is lost on so many people. And the thing is, like, it was lost on me, but then when I had the realization that, like, of the opposite of those things, and like finding out about these things, I was so naive to think like, oh man, everybody else has got to have, we all got to be on the same page. Because what did I think about myself? I'm a piece of shit, and I've come to these realizations, and I don't think you guys are pieces of shit. So hold on, let me, like, just say, like, man, according to the justice system, Black lives don't matter as much as somebody else's. Or even something as simple as, according to the justice system, wealthy matters more than poor. Okay? So saying something like, man, Black lives matter. And the fucking response from that, I was like, oh my God, like, I was so naive to think, and again, that's just me, that's probably my ego, again, running wild for 38 years of my 40 on this earth. I thought everybody would be on the same page of like, man, if it took me till 25, 30, 35, 38 to hit these realizations, these marks in my life, I'm sure they've all hit them. You know what I mean? Like, we've never really had this conversation, but I'm sure they've grown, they've evolved over time as I have, and a lot of people have not. And that's why, like, I am so happy to, like you just said, have learned to take emotion out of emotional situations and be able to respond to people. Like, I'm so happy to raise white consciousness. I thought some really, really misguided things for a really long time. So it's not like I always thought these things. So like, I'm happy to speak from my own experiences. I'm not, and that's the part that blows my mind, is people think I'm coming from like, I'm better than everyone because I think these things and you don't. No, bro, like, you don't even understand. I just said I thought I was a piece of shit. We're just trying to, like, understand that everybody's a human being. We're all going through everybody's going through something, and let's have compassion for one another. And my thing with compassion, it's so weird, but it works for me, is, what's the Michael Jordan documentary?
Come Fly With Me?
No.
The Arab Tour?
Last Dance.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm going way back.
Yes, there was a story about some point guard he was playing one night, and he literally made up a story about the dude talking about him, and like went with it for like like 3 days before the game, a day before the game, leading up to the game, and like people were like, "Oh, well, this kid fucked up! Like, I can't believe he talked shit on my during the game." And then right after the game, he was like, he never said anything. I do the exact opposite. Like, I do that with compassion now. I try my best to make up some story to have compassion for whoever it is. You know what I mean? Like, in traffic is a great example. That's a great way. That's a great place to do that. Like somebody cuts you off or slams on the brakes or whatever the case may be, and like gives you that blood jolt to where now we're in an emotional state. That's when I'll be like, oh man, I bet their coffee spilled, or I bet, well, what time is it? 7:01. I bet 7 o'clock was the time they were supposed to be there, and I bet they're just like you. They don't want to be late. They're an early person, and something happened. Like, I'll make up whatever the case may be to have compassion for another human being. The lacking of that out there, bro. Listen to people, and like we just mentioned a minute ago, have a conversation. That's the real thing. Two things is have a conversation with somebody that you might not have had, or an uncomfortable conversation. You mentioned this a minute ago, getting uncomfortable. Don't stay comfortable, okay? Have a conversation that might make you uncomfortable. What I just saw, was it Davina's post like an hour ago?
About her son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have the difficult, oh my gosh, conversations. Try your best to take emotion out of it, learn, and then be like, holy shit, like I did have some biases that I wasn't even possibly aware of. It's not like, I think a lot of these people, like, you might not even be doing it on purpose.
I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods for a while.
Dick's.
And then I went to AT&T. Yeah.
Can't stand them in a locker room. You can't avoid them.
Hey, y'all don't know if y'all heard him, but make sure y'all get that. But he said the store, because I love Dick's is a crazy soundbite.
Yes, it is. That's why I came with the store, and then
it's wild.
But we can be real. And like I said, in the locker room, it's a horrible thing.
Yeah,
you can't,
for sure.
I can look up here, and it's still there. Your periphery just sits like the most. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to change the subject. Yeah,
yes.
Let's get back. Anyways, I had a lady that hired me. She took a chance on me. I was indulging in a life that I knew wasn't permanent for me. So I was trying to transition into being an adult, working a 9 to 5, and taking care of my family that way. AT&T at the time was life-changing money. This was in 2010. She took a chance on me. I was working at the Beaver Valley Mall. She was the manager. She's from New Cumberland. Chester.
Okay.
Chester. I apologize. She's from Chester.
You're painting a picture.
But yes, we're white. It wasn't just me. There was like a couple other black gentlemen that she took chances on. She hired us, and we ended up being good at her job. But so I used to joke with her, like,
Chester, West Virginia. I'm like,
and her name's Susan Mayhew. And I would say, hey, you're saving the black guys. And we would laugh. As we became closer, she watched my family, watched my daughter grow up and everything. She seen my transition into a grown man, I should say. We would joke, and I would tell her, like, some truth to the joke, like driving while black. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm more prone than you to get pulled over and profiled. And she would laugh it off like it's no such thing.
Statistically true.
It's a fact. And she would say it's no such thing, you know what I mean? She was not in denial, she just didn't know that it existed. So I'm gonna fast forward, because I can go forever, but I'm gonna fast forward to 2020, the George Floyd situation, when Black Lives Matter took off. I don't know what happened. She, took a interest in race relations as they were, and she sent me a long letter, and she apologized for dismissing how I felt and what I said all of those years. And she said, I came to the realization that, you were right, and black people and white people is not the same, and there's certain disadvantages to being black, and I apologize for making light of your situation. Again, she changed my life, and we're still close to this day, and we still keep in touch.
It's funny how we grow in stages too. Yeah. So where, like, yes, she was hiring the black guys, but also dismissive about stuff like that, and then she must have had a moment,
and it all came. And it's the most heartfelt letter, and text incredible. It was. And she apologized. That meant so much to me. And it goes back, I'm just going back to what you were saying, is you're not speaking from high and mighty, you're speaking from experience, from what you felt.
Yes.
And that's what she came to. It was the same thing. So I appreciate you saying that.
Like I said, she must have had a moment. Mine was actually Kaepernick. It's funny, I always used to, and this is before like I even changed, I used to purposely seek out, this is when I was still a conservative Republican, which I don't know if that was ever really true, but that's what I thought at the time. But I used to purposely seek out two of my friends' opinions, Pete Zahersky and Rich Ching especially, who were the opposite, who were liberal Democrats. Okay. And I always, for whatever reason, would text them when something would come up, be like, what are your thoughts? And most of the time, at the time, I'd be like, you know what I mean? When Kaepernick happened, I was like, Ching, I'm like, he's phenomenal, by the way. I go, Ching, tell me, like, I said, I'm pissed about Kaepernick and him taking a knee. He was like, okay. He was like, I need you to ask yourself why. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you have an emotion, yes? And I was like, yeah. He was like, and it's negative. I was like, yeah. I was like, he's kneeling during the national anthem. He's like, okay. And he's like, that's upsetting you? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I need you to ask yourself why. And like, it saddens me to say this. I had never done that before. And again, like we talked about like noticing thoughts and things like that. That was the first time I had ever questioned a bias, an emotion, anything that I had ever felt. That was the first time. As far as like really like delving in, I'm sure like, you know, the back and forth of your own mind. I mean, I don't know. Yes, no. Really, really questioning, like, and again, distancing yourself from a thought and an emotion and looking at it and being like, oh man, like, why the fuck am I upset by that? And I responded, I was like, dude, I'm not even sure. Like, I guess, like, I don't know. I guess just because we always stood. And he was like, well, why'd we always stand? I'm like, because they told us to. He was like, why is he kneeling? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, please look into the matter and then get back to me. And again, good friend. Like, I'm not just going to fucking hand this to you. So I did. And I came back. I'm like, so he spoke to a Marine, said there's injustices between black people and white people, like in the justice system. And so he was sitting, like, and by the way, he was just sitting off to the side and somebody happened to fucking see him over there. Like, he wasn't even making a spectacle of it. He was just like, I'm not standing for this. And again, like, oh! But now, like, I get it. I get it. And again, like, he's just off to the side, wasn't making a spectacle. I'm not standing for this. I'm cool. And then they show him, and then he has the conversation with the Marine, who was like, hey, man, I appreciate what you're saying. How about you kneel instead? And almost like, kind of like, I feel what you're saying. From that Marine's perspective, he understood and was like, make it a form of protest rather than sit and, like, that does whatever, disrespectful. If again, I don't feel that way, but gives off that vibe to a lot of people. The kneel, on the other hand, again, like, I want to draw attention to what's actually happening. It's a form of protest. I like it. Like, again, and again, we're talking my own personal opinion here. He wasn't even trying to do anything about it. It was just after that conversation and a realization with him that he did that. And again, I check my own emotions, and I find that out. And I'm like, I guess I'm not really mad anymore. And he was like, yeah. He was like, now I want you to look at the injustices between white people and black people. And like, it changed everything, dude. Like, again, like, I used to be the person who would watch the video of police shooting an unarmed black man and be like, well, what's the rest of the video, man? What are they not showing us here, bro? Motherfucker didn't have a weapon. There's like lots and lots of things that could have happened besides putting 12 shots in a dude. There's lots of things.
Why do you think that is, bro? Like, why do you think that their brain goes to that? Like, for Kaepernick, they were more mad about what he was doing than why he was doing it. Like, why do you think their brain goes to, well, what did he do? Why ain't they showing the rest of the video?
Again, I think it's a lack of, like, ever checking your own bias, ever checking, like, a lack of perspective of, like, thinking that, like, white guys having even longer than I put on that post, bro. We're talking since Columbus landed here, okay? Which, by the way, Arawak is the name of the tribe who was extremely helpful to him. I just found that out. And I mean, shamefully. I cried about it. Not exaggerating. Found that out maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. Started reading The People's History of the United States. Strongly recommend. That is the first time in my life I saw the name of the tribe that Columbus came into contact with. Arawak or Arawak. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's the right letters there. And again, like, even I've taught Columbus last 6 years. It's certainly never all positive. It's never all negative either. Neil deGrasse Tyson did a great thing about him saying, like, he was absolutely a piece of shit, a true one, but also combined the two worlds. Like, his moment in history is, that part alone is worth looking at and being like, wow, he combined the two worlds. But he also was a piece of shit and tricked this really, really generous tribe that did nothing but help him into giving him their food, and then they all fucking died because of it. It like made me feel shame that I just found that out a month and a half ago after, again, being on this journey since 2014, seeing things like, wait a minute, this dude played in the Super Bowl and then he's out of the league in 2 years. Like, there's backups and third strings way worse than this dude. Like, look what happens when you stick your neck out there when you're black. Holy shit. Goodbye.
See ya. I want to go into something else because you just opened the door, and these are questions that I need. You teach history.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the history that's been taught or that's being taught leaves out a lot of important circumstances, issues, and it teaches one side of history. I can tell by talking to you, I know you, and I can tell by, you're back and forth. You're responsible for teaching this history as it was taught to you, as it was taught to me, as it's been taught to generations. Where's your balance with that? I hope I ain't put you on the spot, bro.
No, not at all.
I need to know
Listen, it is really evident. It's super, super obvious that there has been a whitewash of history in the public education system. Like, my daughter came home in preschool or kindergarten and was talking about the Pilgrims and the Indians. And I'm like, well, first off, Scarlett, I'm like, what we actually, the term we want to use now is indigenous people. And what that actually means is the people that were here first for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, actually. And we want to always keep that in mind. And that the meetings between the Pilgrims and the indigenous people most times were actually helpful, like in Columbus's situation, and then were completely screwed over. Killed in the millions by disease, killed in the millions by murder and slaughter, and however else you want to describe it, to people that were like, all of a sudden, this is mine. Like, showed up and were like, this is mine. It's mine now. The strong do what they will, the weak suffer what they must. Sorry. We abide by this thing called imperialism, which we have an empire, and we must expand that empire, and it's fuck you. Yeah, Scarlett, you had a thing in kindergarten with the Indians and the Pilgrims, but the real of it is holy shit, the relationship between white people, Europeans specifically, and indigenous people was really, really messed up on our behalf. And again, it's not like I did it. And people act like that. When you say
yes,
stuff, when you say stuff like that, people be like, and they get all defensive and are like flipping out. And it's like, bro, I know you didn't do it. All I want you to do is recognize that actually happened and say not necessarily admit, but I guess acknowledge would be the better word here, that it occurred and that it's fucked up. There's nothing wrong with admitting that it occurred and that it was fucked up. And that's exactly how I teach. We have those conversations of here's the people that came over. This is how it started. This is the documents. And now, what is it called when people came over and take all the stuff of the people that are there? And they'll be like imperialism. And I'll be like, what's the word we use to describe imperialism? They'll be like empire. I'm like, what do empires want to do? And they'll be like, spread out and take each other's stuff. And I'll be like, is that okay? That's how I always end up. And I ask them. I don't put it out there. I say, is it okay to just spread out and subjugate people, kill people, do whatever the fuck you want to them, and just take their stuff? Is that okay? And resoundingly, there's never been one student in 10 years to be like, yeah, that's okay. Every single one of them is like, no, that's obviously not okay. That's an idea that is somehow lost on people right now in today's society when the current Republican administration talks about taking places by force, like parts of Canada and parts of or Greenland. They'll argue like, oh, he wants to make a deal with them, but has also alluded to the fact that he would use force to take them. That is literally what I just taught. That is imperialism. That's spreading out and taking things that aren't yours. And yes, the United States has been phenomenal at that over time and still does it to this day. Elon Musk is a big person who did that. He takes stuff that wasn't his and then makes it his and then pays people really, 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 really low wages and then makes Teslas with it. He does stuff like that. And again, the United States government has always done and continues to do stuff like that. And it's, like I just said, not okay. And again, people are like, well, you're benefiting from it. I know I am. Like, yes, I have a phone. Like, I know Apple absolutely takes advantage of people that mine for the stuff for this phone. I know that. There's literally only so much that I can do as a human being. And what I'm doing as a human being is trying to put, again, raising white consciousness a little bit to be like, hey, man, it's not okay. I'd happily pay more for this if that meant that the people that were mining for it got that money. I'd be down for that. When people talk about like taxes and like the people that are being fired right now by the current Republican administration, I was okay with my money paying for museums. I was okay with my money paying for national parks. I'm not okay with my money talking about $2 trillion lost in the Department of Defense. 2 trillion, bro. Not billion, not billion, not million, not billion. 2 trillion. What's the national debt? And we can't even find those assets. It's not that that's what's all there in the Department of Defense. That's just what they can't account for is $2 trillion. But we got to lay off museum people. We got to lay off people for Social Security and the IRS, which, by the way, we talk about Social Security in my class. I'm like, who is the most beneficiary? Like, who receives Social Security the most in this country? And most of them didn't know. I'm like, look it up. Use their phones and look it up. They're like, oh, it's people over 65. And I'm like, do you know like what that's for? Like, let's think about like realistically what Social Security is for. Would you guys want your grandpa or grandma or like great grandma, depending on your family situation, they're over 65, like let's say 70, 80, even 90. Would you want them like having to go to work? Do you think they even could? And most of them were like, no. I'm like, so they can't work, but they're still alive and we love them, right? And they're like, oh yeah. Well, we gotta like give them a little bit of money to survive then, yes? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, so Social Security exists so that old people don't starve to death, like quite literally. And like other people that can't work. And then that's where like conservative Republicans will come in and be like, but there's people taking advantage of it. And I'm like 1 to 2%. 98% of the people on Social Security, bro, they can't work. They rely on this. They'll starve to death without it. Do you want to be the person that's like, yes, let them starve to death? I'm down with that.
Just talking about the Pilgrims and the Indians, not just that, but just history that people have a problem admitting it's wrong and it's fucked up. And because it makes it feel like they was there.
Even something like slavery, man, the way that's taught. First off, right now I'm totally cool with changing. You don't say the word slaves anymore. It's enslaved people. Human beings were enslaved. Slaves makes it sound like, and again, that there's a reason that word was used for so long now that you think about it. It just makes it seem like that's who they were. They're just slaves. That's who they were. Slaves. Nah, bro. Those were enslaved people. Those are people. Those are human beings. And the way slavery is taught, never once did they describe what it was like in detail on one of those ships. Never fucking once did they describe in 12 years of public education what it was. Oh, you bet your ass I do. I describe it in extreme detail because when you talk about slavery, it should make you a little nauseous. And if it doesn't, then you either have not been taught it correctly or you're sick. And more than likely, it's probably you haven't been taught about it correctly. You're just completely unaware. There's no way you know what went on during that time period, the viciousness, the vileness, the violence that, like, again, we're not just talking about like walking up and shooting somebody in the head, bro. Like, that's one thing and that's fucked up. We're talking about like sicking large dogs on human beings until they kill them. Do you know how fucking long that would take? Do you know like how sick that fucking is? But like we should know about that. We should know that like the head of the FBI, after when 2 or 3 white guys, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 right now, blew up a church, killed 3 little black girls and injured others, the head of the FBI went down and made sure that they got off and never spent a day in prison, and then also sealed that court case so where it could never be opened again. J. Edgar Hoover did that. That is factual information. Went wherever the city was that occurred in Alabama and made sure that the 3 people who were responsible for that, we're not talking 200 years ago, we're talking 60 years ago, went there and made sure that people who blew up a church and killed little kids didn't serve a day in jail. The head of the FBI did that. When you see in the history books, J. Edgar Hoover started the FBI, and that's the only thing listed about him, and then you find out that shit later, that's kind of a triggering moment. Like, that was a big moment for me. Like, wait a minute. He did what? And because I vividly remember reading J. Edgar Hoover started the FBI in a social studies book in 7th or 8th grade. Vividly remember that being a test question. I don't ever remember saying he went down to protect 3 dudes that blew up a church that killed three little black girls. I don't ever remember hearing about that. Why not? Why didn't we hear about that? Why didn't we hear he started the FBI and he also did this really fucked up thing? What would be wrong with telling us that? What would be wrong with telling us that? Like, again, how do you improve as a human being? You self-assess. At the end of the day, you go, what did I do good today? What did I do bad today? You don't just fucking only go, what did I do? I'm never going to think about what I did bad today. Fuck that.
Suppressing what he did is no different than him suppressing what they did.
It just allows it to continue.
It's just your teaching style as it relates to incorporating parts of history that's been intentionally left out. How you juggle, being a teacher and curriculum with getting important points across that you feel like should be got across.
Well, what's phenomenal about this is my teaching style is mostly derived from a teacher we only had for a moment for guidance at Harding, and that would be Lee Gillison. I'll never forget, everybody has a teacher that they never forget. Mr. Wells' class was cool, as a social studies class. When I had Mr. Gillison, this guy is so real. He's so honest. I want to listen to this because of his honesty and realness. That's it. That's literally let's please keep it as honest and as real in here as we possibly can. Obviously, the white Europeans were really, really successful at imperialism. It's evident. But again, does it make it okay? And that's where it's cool. It's okay to talk about both, man. That creates the perspective down the line of what white privilege is. Bro, you're talking about a 500-600 year head start, and not just a head start to where there was some competitive and they just pulled ahead. We're talking about holding everyone else down that wasn't white male literally for as long as possible. I mean, women couldn't even have credit cards until the mid-70s, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be. And that's what's funny, in one of the arguments online where somebody was guarantee I know more history than you. I'm I promise you remember more historical facts than me off the top of your head. I guarantee you do. I don't pride myself in short-term memory or remembering facts like that. What I pride myself is, what do we do when we see all of these facts? And are there some more facts that may have been conveniently left out? Again, tell me what a slave ship was actually like. Hold on. People were chained together, side by side, in the bottom of a ship and could not move for, more than a day. And the actual time was, I think, like 6 weeks. And this is exactly how I portray this in class. I'm like, what do you have to do a couple times a day, pretty much no matter what?
Use the bathroom.
You have to use the restroom. Again, these are things that we should all, as students, be thinking about when we talk about slave ships. Is the fact that people, for 6 times 7 is for 42 days, people were laying chained to one another in their own excrement. That's really difficult to really like visualize and think about. It makes you a little nauseous. And again, like, then my mind immediately goes to the people up top. Like, how the fuck are you okay with this? Like, there was no one ever to be like, this is really fucked up, man. And maybe there was, and they got fucking shoved off the ship. Who the fuck knows? Whew, that's fucking. And again, like, it's a tough thing to like really sit there and digest, but like everyone should. Because again, like, if you don't do that, like, if you're just like, oh, slavery happened, move on, you're fucking missing, like, the human suffering and, like, the centuries of it is really, really important because, again, it leads you to where we are today. You see, like, black churches, you shouldn't look at that and be like, black people, and they talk about us and segregation. Bro, listen up, white people. Listen closely. Black people at all white churches would be looked at funny. White people at all black churches are welcome with open arms.
I'm glad you said that. I want to touch on something real
Black
quick.
people aren't the people that exclude people.
Thank you. We've never done the excluding. And the reason why I said that is because I'm the co-chair of the African American Heritage Festival.
And not all white churches, I don't want to like generalize, but a lot of white churches, like if it's all white and a black person shows up, there's going to be people talking afterwards.
African American Heritage Festival.
Way to you to lead in the community, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
I appreciate you.
No, appreciate you.
I really do. People will reach out to me. This is white gentlemen, multiple. Like, am I allowed to come? Or I was going to come, but I didn't, just being white, I didn't know if I was welcome. That's not a compliment. That's not a conversation that I want to have. That's ignorant as hell. Nobody's going to the Italia Fest and a German's calling the head of the Italia Fest to say, "Am I welcome?" Like,
that's a really good point.
No black person is calling the Greek festival and say, "Hey, I'm not Greek, but can I get some baklava?" You know what I mean? Don't call me and message me and say, "Yo, it's the African American Heritage Festival, but I'm not black. Am I welcome?" Or that's why I didn't come.
You would be welcome with open arms.
Because we've never done the excluding.
They would be so happy to see you.
Every time.
Right. Like I said, and that's something I mentioned in my classes too. Like, there's always a point where like a church comes up. Because sometimes when I teach history on Fridays, we'll watch the older version of the Wonder Years and then the newer version. They're like 25 minutes episode. Just something. Little reward on Fridays. Plus, there's so much history in both shows. But the first one, the original one when we were kids, is obviously covering the white family. Mm-hmm. The newer Wonder Years covers a black family, and it is amazing to see. But there's something where church comes up, and I constantly tell them, and there's a Blackish episode that is hilarious too, where they go to each other's. Oh my God, please watch it. I constantly tell my classes, I'm like, listen, I grew up in a all-white church, pretty stiff, pretty judgy. Man, it was a stiff church. Like, no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like, again, if a black person showed up to that church, there would have been some people at the church who would have welcomed with open arms, but there would have been people who would have been like, something needs to be done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I went to a mostly black church in Toronto for like a couple years in like 2011, 2012. And it was incredible. And you will be welcome there with open arms. It's absolutely incredible. Nobody makes you feel anything but welcome. And I was like, now I grew up in a Presbyterian church, which is again super structured and super boring. only lasts an hour felt like 3. I said, black church is like 2.5 to 3 hours, but feels
Feel
like
like
1.
one.
I was like, so you pick whatever you want to do. Me personally, I want to be engaged and listen. And if I'm going to church, like I want to be like, not to sound gladiator mode, but are you not entertained? Like, yes, I want to. And man, like I was so engaged when I went to that church. And again, like it's really easy to like zone out when you're at Catholic Mass or Presbyterian church. Like it's super easy to just be like, wait, what did he say for the last 5 to 10 minutes? Like real easy. But like I said, that episode of Blackish where they switch is phenomenal. It is so funny. Like all the generalizations and stereotypes that are true.
Very
but
true.
like, and that's what's great about humor too, is like taking those and like laughing about them, and that's okay too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like we're talking about looking at all the parts of history, it's okay to laugh at ourselves. And you know what I mean? Like, one of my favorite things growing up as a kid, I think it was Martin Lawrence's white person impression. He talks about the difference between a black person and a white person getting pulled over. And he like the black dude is like, okay, yes sir, gotcha. And he's like, the white person's like, you're a fucking asshole. And like the way, you're a fucking asshole. Like the way that he stressed it so much. But like also, there is some white people, which slightly, I have a weirdo, slightly white guy voice too, that sound like the voice he was doing. Not all white people sound like that, but a couple of them do, and it's really fucking funny to like look at it and just be like, yeah, that's funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like generalizations are true because they're are funny because they're based off of truth. You know what I mean? Like in comedy, I mean.
And that's the, there's truth in every joke.
Yes.
And
yes.
And there really is. All right, so I want to go from history. This is like the crescendo. You know where we're going. We're about to go current administration. Because this is where I see the clapbacks. So first of all, I hesitate to speak on anything that I'm not fully educated on. And I say that to say because I'm about to let you cook. You've already been cooking, but I'm about to let you cook.
To that end, I just saw somebody who said, we have lost the ability to say, I don't know shit. People have lost the ability to be like, I don't know enough about that to speak on it. Listen.
There's guess there's humility in it, but
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm big on that.
I'm
too. Huge on it.
Let me get my learn on. You tell me.
Exactly. I'm big on it. If I don't know that, I'm not going to engage in conversation.
Correct.
You sound dumb. If you don't,
Yes.
Leave it to the experts and then learn. And then if you want to chime in and ask questions, then do that. But, to me, that's just that's humility in humbling yourself. I know what's going on. I know right from wrong. I know good from evil. But I'm not as educated in policies and in everything that's going on. But what I noticed from you, and this is a theme, this is going back to what we said before, you hold people accountable, or you're trying to hold people accountable for saying, I voted for dude, but it's wrong. What he's doing is wrong and it's fucked up. Like, and that's what you try to get out of people.
That's all I'm asking. It's funny. Sarah and I were, we'll say, debating earlier. It was a relatively healthy debate in which I said, I want you to hold me accountable. Like, I thrive on that, man. Like, I think we all should want to be held accountable. I have this one saying that I always say, or like scenario, there's 2 types of people. Like, I think when we're driving and we have to make a left turn and there's nobody coming, we'll all cut the corner. Sometimes there's a car that pops up out of nowhere. There's 2 types of people who are cutting the corner. There's the type of person who goes, oop, and gives a wave, like, oh, my bad, I'm cutting the corner, let me move over. And then there's the type of people who get angry that there's a car just following the law, driving on the road, and now they have to move because they're now being held accountable. They did something, and it's not very wrong. You just did something the tiniest bit wrong that I bet 90% of the people watching this would do. 90% of people on Earth would do. Cut the corner a little bit when you're, like across the Lawson and whatever bridge, and you're going to turn left to go on Bellevue. Like, it'd be weird if there was no car there to are you a military personnel? everybody would cut the corner unless there's a car there. But like, again, if you cut the corner and a car came up, like, just be like, oh my gosh, I'm cutting the corner. Let me move over. And I'm so sorry, like, if I startled you by doing something wrong. The people that do the opposite, that get upset that they're now being held accountable, there must be a correlation between like what we're talking about here of like, bro, if I would have chosen somebody that's doing these types of things, it's mind-blowing. And like the one thing they'll eventually land on in the end, they'll just say like, I don't believe it. Like when you finally like boil down to like something that they should be and are morally and individually like against, that they like wouldn't tolerate in any other way, for some reason with this Republican administration, they all will go, I just don't believe it. There was an instance where I brought up Elon Musk throwing up the hail,
yes, the
Sig Heil. Again, side by side. It's the best one to do the side by side with, if you haven't seen it, is the one from American History X. It's the bigger dude in jail. They're both in wife beaters, and he's like, hey, I forget what Edward Norton's character is, but he says his name and then does it. It's the exact same motion. Now, again, what he says afterwards, okay, so like, here's a great instance to look at something and be like, I don't necessarily know what his intent was, but I do know exactly what that looked like. And they will literally just be like, I don't believe that, looking side by side at two. So then they'll argue like intent, like he was saying he's pouring his heart out to America or something like that. That's what he says right after that, Musk did. But when you really look into him and say things like, well, his childhood was apartheid South Africa. So you know how like here in America, it was like there was a percent time where it was like 97% white people and 3% enslaved people, and then like the percentages were growing and growing, but it was still like always been like very vast majority white people to black people. I said, now in South Africa, everything that we just described, that like a full-on oppression, that was happening, only the percentages were flipped. 15 to like 10% of white people that existed in this country were oppressing the other 90% of the country. That's what he grew up in. Okay? And then he also donates money to the German AFD, I believe are the initials, which have a self-proclaimed Nazi in them, amongst their ranks, quite literally. A person who is a self-proclaimed Nazi, that dude donates money to. So, like, again, like, and I mentioned that to this person, and again, they went, I don't believe it. We've gotten so far to the point of, like, it has to be my team. It has to be my team. This isn't a team thing, bro. This is like, we're talking about like this whole thing is like a fantasy team, and we're all on the same team together. We should be picking the best available. You don't pick a fantasy team based on your favorite team. You pick a fantasy team based on best available. And that's how we all kind of used to look at it, with a slight bias. Like if you go back in time, like the 1960s when people voted, but like people voted like, oh, this is definitely the best guy available. Or at least they thought that, you know what I mean? This is the best dude available. This is the best dude available. Now it's like, it don't matter. Like, bro, look at the qualifications. And I'm not saying the way that Harris ended up being the nomination was cool. Like, as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, that was not cool. You know, primary, DNC, no votes of any kind. I happily voted for her. However, the way that she ended up there was not okay. But I was happy she was there. That's beside the point. That's a internal Democrat problem. The qualifications of her compared to this dude, bro, you would have thought, like, when you actually look at the qualifications, again, like, it's insane. When you look at her qualifications compared to Joe Biden's, again, we're talking a Democrat problem here. The drop-off from Joe Biden in 2020 to Harris in 2024. Again, and when you compare those two and their qualifications for the job, she's far more qualified. Again, I didn't have a problem with her nomination. A lot of Democrats did, for God only knows, lots and lots of reasons. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some internal bias and others for what we're talking about right now. I know a lot of white people ran when it was now a black woman because of the history of the United States. When they nominated Hillary Clinton, when Democrats nominated Hillary Clinton, I knew that was a no-go. That I knew that dude was going to win at that point because of this aspect of history right here. Enslaved people, that ended in 1865, okay? Black dudes were given the right to vote shortly thereafter, I believe 1870. Okay, that's when the 15th comes out, okay? Giving black dudes the right to vote, all right? 1870. They don't give white women, and all women, but white women included, they don't give them the right to vote until 1920. If you thought for 1 second, so what was that, 1870 and 50 years. The people that they used to, again, we mentioned sicking dogs on and watching them die for pleasure, as sick as that fucking is, gave them the right to vote 5 years after letting them out of chains. You think I'm letting this white lady vote? Hell no, that was 2 generations of people. So, like, again, the viewpoint of men toward women in this country, if you thought we were going to go from black president to white lady back to back, you don't know our history very well.
And to your point, to piggyback off what you said, if Hillary Clinton couldn't beat this man, Kamala Harris didn't have a chance.
Right.
She literally didn't have a chance. If a white woman couldn't win, a woman of color don't stand a chance.
Not a chance.
And she didn't.
Not a
she
chance.
She didn't stand a chance. Why do you think people follow this man so cult-like and so blindly to not have the wherewithal to disagree when they know what he's doing is wrong? In your opinion, again, mentally, that they follow this man into darkness and they know that it can't be right, the stuff that he's doing and the stuff that he's saying, but they won't admit it. Like, why do you think that is?
So there's definitely a sect of people who we're talking about here who use this for their deeply rooted racist views.
Thank you.
For sure. Not all. Because, like, I have a buddy whose mom is ultra religious, and I'm 99%, 7% sure she has no ill will toward any person of color ever. And yet she's still one of these people. So there's like a definite, like, there's got to be a Venn diagram here. But I think majority, and it might not be vast majority, but more than 50% of these people literally use this, again, to, like, qualify their racist views. And, like, I would never do this, and I'm going to cause people to delete it out of their phone. I wanted to. I mean, at the height of me posting, I wanted to go around with a camera and go up to people and be like, hey, man, can I, like, borrow? I'm like, are you a Trump supporter? Like, can I borrow your phone for a second? I just need to look at something really fast. Sorry about that. I just need to look at something really fast. And go into their text messages and go to the top and go to the search bar and type in N-I and see what pops up. And I bet you we'd be at about a 90% clip of people who wouldn't even delete it. Like, it's still already in their phone. There was a part of me that wanted to go around and do that, like, with a video camera, like, have it on, like, go through. Can I just see your phone real quick? You're a Trump supporter, right? No, I just needed to look at something really, really fast. I'm just for my own personal. And then, like, put them on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, what's this doing in here?
I'm so glad, bro. I'm
not going to do that. Like, I obviously, like, again, that's not my mission in life.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do that because, again, I firmly believe, like, at a 90% clip, it would be in there.
It's like your answer was scripted, and we never had this conversation before.
Hell
but
no.
What you said is exactly what I wanted you to say. I've never had this conversation with a white male. Me and Mikey Lamb talk about this all the time. And I would ask him this question, and he would be like, so to speak, it's like tongue-in-cheek, but it's like he allows people to take their hood off in the public. Like they could take the mask off, I should say.
Yes.
And it's okay to be like this now.
Right, because you got support.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing that this did. That's the other thing that this did was show people like it qualified their actions. And that's the other thing. Like I heard somebody say this the other day. I think it was Bill Burr. He said, there used to be one guy in the neighborhood or at the office who would say some shit like this out loud, and everybody would be like, you're a fucking idiot, you sick fuck. And then that person would shut the fuck up, and then the rest of the people who like kind of thought it would like go home and be like, shit, I shouldn't have thought that. But now with this, and like what's he on? Truth Social? Like, it's just all them. So like they say some like crazy ass shit. Like, bro, there's people like that are like, think I'm fucked up for having compassion for another human being.
Crazy.
You think I'm
crazy.
Fucked up for having compassion for another human being? Like, that's a really weird that's a tick I have when I'm really like when I'm so confused or sad, I can't wrap my head around getting upset with somebody for caring about another human. Again, like we talked about, like being a tribute to the race, or like before it was on here, like how on earth can like that be a negative? Like you're being a terrible white person by caring about other people that aren't white, you son of a bitch. Like, that's honestly what it feels like. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, I said Black Lives Matter, and the amount of white people that came after me was like, it was fucking nuts. And I'm like, bro, like, what do you mean? Like, like the All Lives Matter response, and I'm no disrespect to the one guest you had. I totally understand what she's saying. She's trying to soften, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like their response of All Lives Matter, like in the justice system, it's not true. That's not the case, and it's not like an opinion. It's based on like statistics. We just like, I'll be like, look at what happens, and you can do this right now, everyone. Look at what happens when a white person gets arrested for drugs over in Weirton or Fallensby. Look what happens when a black person gets arrested for drugs over in Weirton or Fallensby. There is a very large discrepancy in what happens to those two individuals. One of them gets treatment, the other one goes to prison.
And this is facts.
And this is still today. This isn't like, again, we're talking 60 or 150 years ago. We're talking about in 2025. All lives don't matter in the justice system. It is awesome if you, miss, sir, believe that. If you truly believe that. However, I don't think that that's somebody that responds viscerally with that truly believes that. You would more or less ask a question of like, again, like that's where, again, like have a conversation. Do your best to have a conversation in those moments and find out like where people are coming from. That's all.
If you care, if it matters, then you would want to have the conversation. And if you care and it means something to you, you will seek the conversation out. And however you take it is how you take it. But you should at least have that conversation if you care, if it matters to you. That's how you differentiate who it matters to and who it doesn't, bro. Because they don't want to hear. They don't want to talk to you about it.
Right, and that's what I mean. We get to like a point in these conversations online where like all of a sudden they just stop. And I'm like, why is this conversation over? Like, I was totally okay. Like, again, like, and I don't want to mention names, but like, I was okay having this conversation with you on here, and then the day ended and you stopped. Like, did you go back and like have some introspective and like think about this? Or did you like just go and be like, well, fuck it, I spread my hate for the day? tomorrow's another day to spread more. Like, I'm so curious. And again, I'm not even coming from a place of hate. I'm totally coming from a place of love. Because, like, and like, that's the thing. Like, that's another, I'm big on that phrase right now. Sarah's going to be annoyed with me. But, you're only coming from one of two places in all aspects of life. You're either coming from a place of love or a place of hate. And, like, man, like, you're definitely, in these instances, like, in trying to not understand someone else's perspective, in only keeping your own, in name calling, like, you're definitely coming from a place of hate. Like, bro, what's going on here?
There's a person, I'm not going to name no names either, and you're a sharp dude. You'll pick up on it. If not, we'll talk about it off camera. Constantly chimes in. He's on the other side of the side that you stand on. And I'll see this person. First of all, they're around a lot of black people.
Oh.
Young black people, whatever. Black people in general. But I'll see this person and they'll be like, what's up, CJ? Just what's up. I don't know him like that, but it's just what's up. And in my opinion, you don't like me because I see the way you engage. Scotty's representing me, and I see the way you oppose everything he says. So don't say what's up to me because I know you don't like me because they're not even listening to what you're saying, bro.
They're not. And like, I really appreciate you saying I represent you. That's fucking wild to hear. That means a lot. And there's also been a ton of other people to like come up to me and be like, I really appreciate the things that you're saying on here. White, black, gay, straight, like tons of people have come up to me and thanked me for my posts. Personally, in messages, it's been really refreshing because there's times where I'm like, man, I gotta shut the fuck up. Like, and like, I don't want to, because here's the thing, going back to your point. I know deep down these people are good human beings. This is one thing I found in teaching. There is a very, very tiny percentage of people who are like, for whatever reason, evil. 99.99999% of people, deep down, their true self is their soul is good. It's good. And that's exactly why I'm never going to shut the fuck up and do exactly what you said. Like, try to have the accountability aspect of this discussion of like, bro, grow. That's why he still says hi to you, because he's not evil deep down. Like, and that's why I want the conversation to continue. Like, my true hope is for all these, everybody that's seeing that thought like me or worse, for them to have that moment. And like I said, Ching, I cannot thank him enough, man. Like, he changed the trajectory of my life to where, like, again, like, here I sit. You know what I'm saying? Like, actual, and I mean it, like, and I don't ever toot my own horn, but like, a credit to like you said, to human beings. A credit to human beings because of what he put me on to. And that's all I'm trying to do for these people, is let me put you on a little bit. And again, I'm not talking high and mighty. I'm talking, I used to be down here. Someone put me on. Let me put you on. Like, and that's what I love about this show and what it's been. You guys have done nothing but like I said, it's been a blueprint to like, hey, this is what I've been through. Let me put you on. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, even somebody as raw as like Gunna, like, there were portions of that episode where like, I'm learning. You know what I mean? Like, I'm learning. Like, that matters to me. Don't you want to learn? Like, where did you lose the thirst to adapt and like get better and learn? Like, what happened? Like, why as adults do like all of a sudden we think like success is not final? Like, if you have the same if you're 40 and you have the same exact mentality that you had when you were 18 or 16, the same exact mentality about all these subjects that we're talking about, you haven't grown or evolved in regard to any of those subjects. Like, again, and I'm really talking to like, you grew up lower middle class white kid right here. Like, if you haven't, like, again, like, looked at yourself, like, kind of like I did, like, holy shit, bro, like, there's people that grew up way poorer, had way bigger struggles, and like something you mentioned, like driving around black. Go ahead and get in your car and drive with a black passenger and go below the Mason-Dixon line, white people, and let me see, just tell me how you feel. Just tell me how you feel passing a Sadie with a black person in your passenger seat, passing a Sadie on the highway. I bet you feel differently than you would if you were just by yourself, white person. Because I'll tell you, I did. I went with a colleague down to Louisville, and when it was something I very much noticed. I'm like, if I feel like this, what the fuck does she feel like?
So I know it's uncomfortable for you to receive. We're working on that.
Yes.
And you watch the episodes. You know I like to give out flowers. Now we're a little late in me giving out flowers.
Oh.
Speed gonna have his work cut out for him. It's probably gonna be a 2-part series because it's gonna turn into a mini series, a documentary. So
I saw 11 of it. I was like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's 11/11. Make a wish. But so we've been going, and I want to be respectful of time, and you know what I mean.
Hell yes,
but
no worries.
It's definitely a 2-part series.
I can't believe
it's 2-part series, Scotty. We're gonna do. You're the first one. Part 1, part 2. Yeah.
I can't.
You did exactly what we wanted you to do. So I want to give you flowers though, and I applaud your courage. It takes big balls, man, to take the stance for right that you have taken, not only on this platform, but on a social media platform for public consumption. And you don't duck no smoke, because as a white male, what you're saying, although it be true, it's very unpopular for you to say that in public. It's very uncommon, and it takes courage because you know what's coming with it. And you defend and represent yourself and your family, and you represent, I can't speak for all black people, but you represent me and morally what I stand for to the T, with the utmost respect and the elegance in the way you speak, man. So I like you as a person already, but I needed you on this platform to tell you what you do is profound, man, and we need that. And I'm going to speak for a lot of people when I say thank you, but I applaud your courage. And please don't stop. Like, a lot of people walk up to us and they say, don't stop, keep going. From me to you, bro, you got to keep going, because we need you. We need allies. We need white allies who aren't afraid to stand in the front and fight with us. And bro, you right there, you frontlining. You know, you right there on the front line with us. We need that, and we can't win without you. Like, we literally can't win that. We tried, shit. You know, we can't win that fight without fighting with y'all, and y'all riding with us, man. So, again, I applaud you. I appreciate you, and for you coming on, for me to get to tell you this, and for you to speak the way you spoke, from myself, for Speed, from the Legacy Lounge, man. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Man, it's about one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard in my life was from that preacher from that church in Toronto. He said, it's not about who is right, it's about what is right. And man, that's what it is. Scotty Lane isn't right. You know what I mean? I'm not right, but this sure is. You know what I mean? Like, what we're standing for here, what we're talking about here, absolutely is. And it goes right along with what you're saying. I listened to people that were saying, like, I didn't dismiss what they were saying about we need you. I'm like, then I'm here.
They say the same thing to us. They say to us, we need you. And our response is, we here.
Yeah.
Say less. You know, if that's what you need, then we here. So a lot of things in common, man. A lot of things in common. And it you know, it was only right that we end up right here for 4 hours.
Really, with anything else, it goes right along with what you said for 3.5, 4 hours show, is whatever you're doing, just try and lean in. Like, if that's how you really feel, lean in. You know what I mean? Like, if you really want to do some good, then lean in. Like, go.
So what Scotty's saying, lean in is the equivalent to stand on business. That's
Yes.
it's a synonym. It's like, yeah, lean in is the same the kids say stand on business. Like, that's exactly what he's saying. If that's how you feel, stand on it.
Yes. Absolutely.
So a lot of people don't know, but we won't put it out there though. Scotty came prepared. He got notes from previous episodes, and like he really came prepared, which means a lot to me. But when we was telling we was about to wrap it up, he like, yo, they ain't even asked me who my favorite rappers was. So before we wrap up this episode,
not that people want to hear my favorite rappers.
No,
but
they
maybe
do.
that is like a curious thing.
They
Like, I
do.
wonder who this dude likes.
who do you like?
Okay, so obviously the list starts and ends with Skee-Lo.
I wish I was a little bit taller.
I'm kidding. I'm fucking around. I'm joking.
We was about to lose credibility.
Off the rip. People fucking turn this off, right? See? This is why we don't have white people on the show. Get him out.
Soon as they let him on, he comes with Skee-Lo.
Hatchback. Come on. No, actually, number one on the list as far as like energy over time, like constantly love, barely skip when they're on, like randomly. It's actually not one person, it's Outkast. It's both of them.
Okay.
One of the first albums I ever heard was Atlians, or AT-Aliens, however it's supposed to be pronounced. I'm white, give me a break. That album and like the start of that song too, just the start of that song, that like alien bubble, like it is permanently just like ingrained in my head. There's a couple rap songs like that, like Rakim Guess Who's Back was actually the first rap song I ever heard in my life, and that intro, just that dun dun dun, like, bro, it was incredible. But actually, Outkast, Tupac, don't listen to a lot of them now, but still have like tremendous love for him. A little too like, this goes along with my next person too, little too like, I don't know, just I'm getting older, like harsh on my ears at times. Still love him, but like I gotta be really in the right mindset to like listen to him now. I am white, so obviously Eminem, and we talked about representation matters. Obviously, like I used to freestyle in the car with my friends. Like I, wanted to rap at one small moment of my life. Grew up listening to you and Chev, like everybody. I think anybody that listens to rap wants to at least try it. So Eminem is on the list, but he's just like Tupac. Like I barely listen to any Eminem anymore. Just way too like harsh on my ear. And again, lyrically, absolutely fucking incredible, but just like, my God, man, like chill. Like I'm too, like I said, I guess I'm getting too old. And again, this goes back to first, can still listen to any time. Such great energy is Bone. I fucking love Bone, man. Like, and this is the wildest part about Bone to me is one of the first albums I ever owned. I was in the 3rd grade, and it was East 1999, and it was purchased by my mom, like as like a birthday present. I didn't even ask for it. I don't know. Like looking back on it, I'm not sure if she was like unaware or like was just had a moment of coolness. But my mom, and again, we're talking extremely humble, one of those stiff people in church, like gave me East 1999, and I fucking love that album.
Buster Fulin, big Bone fan.
Yes, great friend of mine.
Yeah, Michigan guy.
Yes,
I know he's a friend of yours.
We attended games together.
Huge Bone.
Loves
fan.
Bone.
Yes, he does.
Loves Bone. But I very rarely skip them, and then it is the slightest edge to Jay-Z over Nas as 5 and 6. Okay. Because again, that was, you mentioned this on an episode before, height of high school was that beef drama between them. And it was funny, just like you at the time liked Nas way more, like had Stillmatic. Funny, I actually karaoke'd Rewind with no lyrics before at Lancelot's. karaoke with no lyrics. Like I don't karaoke much. I'm very uncomfortable doing
real
it.
quick, I just swear to God, yesterday I played Rewind. I just listened to it yesterday.
Energies are real.
And I'm like, I swear, and I don't even know the last time I listened to it.
Oh.
And I was just I was going through my hip hop thing. I'm trying to put Nas in perspective, how much of a genius he is. And I listened to it.
Whole song backwards.
Oh my God, bro! I just now appreciated it, and I'm not afraid to admit it again.
When I first started teaching, I used to walk into rooms and go, "Listen up, gangsters and honeys with your hair done. Pull up a chair, hun." And I would stop because I don't want to say put it in the air, son. But I would say that I quit doing it because I'm like, somebody's going to like go down to the office and be like, he's
energy.
quoting Nas to start class.
Nas Rewind.
Love that song.
It's amazing. That's art.
Magical.
It is, really.
But like I said, I karaoke that at Lancelot's without lyrics. Like I'm like, it was Ralph Priesty. I'm like, do you have that song? He's like, I have the instrumental. He's like, I can't put the lyrics on the screen for you. I'm like, no problem. Fucking crushed it. Looking back on them now, prefer Jay-Z a little bit more. Again, it's a lot in common, similar to you. And what's funny is, just like you and also when, not Diplomats, but Cameron, when Cameron dropped I'm a biter, not a writer, I was still like, see, fucking Jay-Z. And then over time, I found myself listening to him, like, and still, like, ignoring this, like, weird little, like, hateful bias I had toward him. And then I finally saw, it was a video of him, I think it's him and Timberland. And he's, like, going through all the beats. I forget what beat he ends up finding. And then he goes on, and when he's doing it without paper, and then when you hear him talk about in songs about, like, how, like, and you and Sean talked about it, like a lyrical exercise, what it takes to be able to do what he does, and how every single producer's like, it's one take, like, not editing things together. Like, you ever tried to rap? Anybody out there? Like, you're out of fucking breath in moments, bro. Like, especially if you're passionate about whatever it is you're rapping about, you're out of breath really fucking fast. And, like, again, to not stumble, to make it sound exactly how you want to sound, to where you're gonna sell millions of albums. Mm-hmm. To do that shit in one take is fucking alien-esque. He ain't real.
No, I rap a little bit. I dab a little bit.
Like I said, I loved the shit growing up.
And my knack was freestyling. Like, I was real good at just rapping off the top of the head. That was always my thing.
I was less than mediocre, like most of the things I try.
For Jay-Z, and every producer says in every rapper that's ever rapped with him that he does it one take and he doesn't write it down. For him to have double, triple entendres, to stay on script, to make everything make sense without pen hitting paper, and to do it in one take is
you're writing a symphony.
Extraterrestrial special.
Yep.
Like, you're
writing a symphony.
For sure.
I was just talking about that to somebody the other
it's
day.
Genius.
How do you pull
genius.
Out of nothing 17 different instruments to play all at once and it sound like the most amazing thing you ever heard? Again, we're that same level, and there's people out there that would like argue like, no way is that's yes, it is. Like what you just said, no pen to paper. The amount of three meanings behind one or two lines, like that's what makes
that's what a triple entendre means, by the way, is what he's explaining.
That's what makes speaking of the Diplomats, the Cavaliers used to come out to it all the time. It's the Second Coming. That's the whole song is double entendre. It's about like trying hard and selling drugs. Like that's fucking genius type shit.
That's genius.
The entire song, like the Cavaliers played that for an entire season as their come out song, and that beat is nasty too. But the whole thing's about, again, trying really hard and also selling drugs.
I think your list is solid.
Thanks.
I do. I think it's super solid.
Skilo really isn't on the list. I swear.
It was.
The song was funny
his notes.
Back in the day, but never like, oh man, that's great rap.
But yo, I appreciate you again, Scotty. Keep doing what you're doing, everything you're doing. Shout out to you. Shout out to your family. The kids love you. The community loves you, and you know you're the voice of the community. So we need you. You know what I mean? Keep going, man. Keep doing everything you're doing. And we love to have you back. I mean,
anytime.
We're going to do this whole sports thing. We're going to figure that out, too.
Yes, that'll be something to look forward to. And like I said, like I appreciate you guys. And like I said, the title means it's it's perfect. Like, what legacy are you leaving? And they're leaving a blueprint right here for all of y'all to leave the best possible legacy you could.
It's an audio blueprint. Literally, it's an audio blueprint with a bunch of different ingredients, blended together to come out with one outcome. And that's to impact your legacy and leave your legacy. We just left y'all legacy about 3.5 hours of some audio game. Left it all on the episode, man. And shout out to Mr. Lane, Scotty Lane. Again, there's going to be people on here that ain't never watched anything Legacy Lounge, and they're going to tune in because we got Mr. Lane on here, Scotty Lane on here. When you do, all we ask is that you hit the subscribe button. You already did the hard part by going to YouTube and watching the episode. We need y'all so we can keep bringing this content. All we ask is that you take 1 second and hit subscribe. It don't cost nothing, but it means a lot to us, and it means more than it's worth in gold to us. Just hit the subscribe button while you're there watching this beautiful content that we just brought y'all. Because you're going to bring a crowd that we didn't have before. So if you're new to the Legacy Lounge, hit that subscribe button. If you've been rocking with us, we appreciate y'all. Thanks for sticking this whole episode out. And hopefully y'all get something from it. Mr. Lane, you the GOAT. Legacy Lounge.
Meow.
You hit the rim.